Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 28. The Lord shall smite thee with madness.
The Lord shall smite you with what?
With madness.
To be mad is to have disordered thinking. To think up is down. The Negro thinks that they making progress. If you ask them, how have we improved? They'll say, we've actually moved forward. As a community, we've made improvements. Things have gotten better for us. That's madness. Your daughter is half naked. Your son doesn't want a wife. He hates a woman that looks like his mother. That's forward. And somebody got to look at this and say, come in, how are we going to fix this? How are we going to fix this? Who the hell is going to rise up and say, we gotta change the mindset to these people. We're going to destroy ourselves. The cliff is in front of us, and instead of saying, let's move away from the cliff, we walking towards it saying that's the right way to go.
Can't be lukewarm, gotta pick a side. Who am I? True Jesus state.
Hey, shalom, y'all. Officer Jadiel, IUIC San Diego. This is Mid-Morning Medicine. We're going to jump right into it. The title today is When You Love Your People. When I start classes, I like to start with 2 Peter chapter 3 and verse 1. I was just meditating on a couple different things. You know, with Black History Month going on, our people are, caught up in that confusion. You also got just the evil that's going on in the world as always. But the biggest thing is, in terms of what love is and the love for our people, that's something that's lost, right? There was a time when there was a Black Power era. There was a time when there were many people who saw their own image or the need to protect their people, and that's gone, right? That's not there. The only people who are doing that are the Israelites that are keeping God's commandments. So we're going to go into it. We're going to look at it through the lens of the Bible and understand during Black History Month what it means to love your people, right? And what that'll change in you, right? 2 Peter chapter 3 and verse 1. We're going to start there.
2 Peter chapter 3 and verse 1. This second epistle, beloved, I now write unto you, in both which I stir up your pure minds by way of remembrance, that you may be mindful of the words which were spoken before by the holy prophets, and of the commandment of us, the apostles of the Lord and Savior.
So when Peter wrote this, his goal was to stir up the minds of the people. The people were always being influenced by nonsense, shenanigans, right? They always had something that was counterproductive to what it is that they needed to be doing. So the role of the prophets and the people that cared for them was to put them in remembrance of the scriptures. That was the purpose of having a congregation. That was the purpose of having leadership, was to put them in remembrance of the things that they needed to be doing while they walked in the body upon earth. Go ahead.
Knowing this first, that there shall come in the last days scoffers, walking after their own lusts.
And they informed the people. They said, contrary to what you're going to be doing, there's going to be another group of people who are against you. Their mindset is going to be to walk after their own lusts, whether that be money, drugs, fornication, whatever it is that they enjoy, they're going to do. They're going to walk after all of those lusts. We're trying to employ you or teach you to walk after what the scriptures say. But your mindset is going to be contrary to somebody else's mindset, to the majority of the world. Go ahead.
And saying, where is the promise of his coming? For since the fathers fell asleep, all things continue as they were from the beginning of the creation.
Read verse 4 again.
Verse 4.
Had to get comfortable. Go ahead.
And saying, where is the promise of his coming? For since the fathers fell asleep, all things continue as they were from the beginning of the creation.
So the mindset of our people often is Christ ain't coming back. There's nothing going to shift from day to day. So if you look at it, right, especially America provides the Negro with comforts that's dumbed them down. Right? They got their music. They might drive the car they like. They got their blunt readily available. Esau said, I'm going to put weed shops everywhere so the Negro can stay high and stupid during Black History Month. They don't even think about what it is they need to be thinking about in terms of oppression or how did they get out this situation. Just think about the state of us as a people and the fact that people get up every day and they go and get high. right? They get up every day and they go and they find out how can they serve their lust. They don't think Christ is coming back, and that's not on their brain. Give me Isaiah chapter 1 and verse 3. They have no mind to say, let me look at what's going on in society. Let me turn on the news and do some critical thinking. Let me see how I can get my people out of this position. For many of our people, it's just how can I get my dollars? How can I get to the next check? How can I get from day to day? How can I go holler at that chick that I've been talking to? That's what the Negro's mind is focused on, right? And we got to change our mind from being black to being Israel. Read that.
Isaiah chapter 1 and verse 3. The ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib.
So the ox is a dumb animal, right? Read that again from the top.
The ox knoweth his owner,
The ox knoweth his owner.
and the ass his master's crib.
The donkey and the ox, they know their owner and they know where their master lives. They know where they can get their resources, their food. So when you even think about the origin of Black History Month, the idea was to give the so-called African-American, Negro-colored in America, right, the Israelites of Judah, from the tribe of Judah, it was to give them a month to remember their history. Now that ain't being used for that. It's being used for where the party gonna be at. How do we get high? How do we get make T-shirts? Right? What color sneakers can we make in red, black, and green? That's the mindset of our people. Instead of using the month to reflect on the oppression and how the hell we get out of this situation. Read that verse again.
Verse 3. The ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib. But Israel doth not know. My people doth not consider.
As a people, we don't consider our history. We don't consider who we were before 1619. We don't consider what we're not learning in schools. We don't consider what's being hidden from us. Go ahead.
Verse 4. Sinful nation, a people laden with iniquity.
A people that's burdened with sin. That's what you see out here. Our people are burdened with sin. They go and they get a baby mama. Then they get that baby mama pregnant. Now that baby mama is taking them to court for child support, and that could have all been prevented had they gotten married according to the scriptures. We are burdened with the sins that we've been committing as a people. We go, we get high, day after day after day after day, then we get lung cancer. Then we're like, damn, man, I wish I would have never got high. I wish I would have never been an alcoholic. I wish I would have managed my money better, learned something about how to live life, be a man. We don't do these things because we're destroyed. We're burdened by the iniquity we're committing from day to day. Go ahead.
A seed of evildoers.
Read.
Children that are corrupters. They have forsaken the Lord. They have provoked the Holy One of Israel unto anger. They are gone away backward.
Read.
Why should you be stricken anymore?
The Lord asked a question there. He said, why should I continue to whoop on them? I don't know about y'all, but all y'all that had mothers, right, and had any type of single-parent mother environment, when your mother whooped you at some point in time, you'd be like, you might as well just go get dad. You might as well go get a man. This ain't working. Let me grab that slipper. Grab that belt. Because you knew it wasn't doing that. The Lord said, I'm whipping you, and I'm beating you, and it's not changing your mindset. So why should I keep whooping you? Why should I continue to play this game with you if the oppression I'm putting you under, you're finding it comfortable? You enjoying the oppression. Read it again.
Why should you be stricken anymore? You will revolt more and more. The whole head is sick, and the whole heart faint.
The Lord said from the leadership that these people are following down, they were sick. That's where we at today. The pastors are sick. The celebrities are sick. The politicians are sick. Everybody's sick. All during Black History Month. You can't look to no one besides the Israelites, besides IUIC, to learn what the hell you're supposed to be doing on earth. All of them will corrupt you. According to the Bible, all of them, because they all sick. Read.
From the sole of the foot even unto the head there is no soundness in it, but wounds and bruises and putrefying sores. They have not been closed, neither bound up, neither mollified with ointment.
So they have not been healed. There's been no one to come and show them the right way. We got brothers that teach. You got different camps teaching the truth of the Bible. But the reality is, outside of this Bible, no one's telling you the truth. No one's guiding our people back to where they should be. There's a lack of direction for the people. There's a lack of who they should be following. There's a lack of what's right and what's wrong. Hosea chapter 4 and verse 6. Let's read that. There is no way back to God besides the Bible. There's no way. If you go to these churches will make you worse. They'll make you 2 times the devil, like the scriptures say. We're going to look at some passages that make you worse. You go to a rapper, you think the rapper's giving you something that move your spirit and teaching you something that's going to build you up, and they actually making you worse. Now you're like, damn, I'm going to try that Zanny. Huh? I'm going to go try to get me 3 women. I mean, he talked about 3 women on that song. Let me go get 3. These are the things that are influencing us as a people, and it's not bringing us closer to God. It's bringing us further and further away. So the Lord asks, why should I keep whooping you? Your leadership is sick, you sick, and there's been nothing to bound you up. Read.
Hosea chapter 4 and verse 6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge.
As a people, we're destroyed because we lack the knowledge of God. We lack the laws. We don't have any law. We're lawless as a people. We have no direction in terms of, is this wrong or right? You could talk to 5 different quote-unquote black people and ask them, what's the right thing, what's the wrong thing? And they would disagree. You can ask them their nationality. Just start there. What's your nationality? I'm black. I'm colored. I'm African American. I'm an original man. I'm an Asiatic black man. You will get so many different answers that you'll be frustrated by it. I'm a Christian. I'm a believer. I'm a child of God. You get these different answers because we destroyed as a people. And if we don't got a shared nationality, we can't even move forward. We destroyed. We have no laws, and we have no central point that we can meet on common ground and say, okay, this is the common ground we on, now let's move together. Read Hosea 4 and 6 again.
My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee.
Go ahead.
That thou shalt be no priest to me.
God said because we reject knowledge, he will reject us. So you're looking at a people that's been rejected. Let's pull up some examples. Let me get that video with Nipsey. Let me get that first. This is the example of a people that's rejected.
It's a crab in the bucket mentality where, you know what I mean, everybody going bad. So when one person starts to move forward and you know, become a little bit successful, but you still within reach of these people, it's very hard because, you know, you're dealing with the pressures of trying to be successful as well as the pressure of people intentionally waking up to try to bring harm your way. You know what I mean? And try to stop you from doing that, because if I grew up on the same block you grew up on, and we had the same trials and tribulations, but you became successful and I became a failure, it made me feel a certain way about myself, because we had the same, we were dealt the same deck of cards. You know what I mean? So I feel like my success affects the people closest to me the most. A person that don't know me might root for me, you know what I mean, and be happy for me. And a person that know me and come from the same environment and had the same cards dealt to them, that keep going to jail, don't have no money, never made their parents proud or their mama proud, never did anything that they could look in the mirror and be proud of. You know what I mean?
Give me 1 John 3 and verse 15. If we knew the laws of God, right? If we understood the type of mentality that's being bred in our community, then they're not gonna look at something like Black History Month and say, okay, this is actually valuable. It's not valuable. It's not valuable for us to have these months or these days that we celebrating, and in reality, we're not fixing the issues we got as a people. Read that.
1 John chapter 3 and verse 15. Whosoever hateth his brother is a murderer.
You see what the Bible say? If you hate your brother, you're a murderer. We ain't learned that in our community. That's why when we see one person move or make progress, we get mad. We've been taught that. That's a behavior that we got from generation to generation to generation to say, damn, he think he better than us. He think he moving. How the hell he get out the hood? That's why that brother got put to death. You would have thought, right? He got a gang called Crips means Community Restoration and Progress. He got out the neighborhood, had access to resources and finances, and was killed by a member of his same gang. Because, read that again.
Whosoever hateth his brother.
Because the person that saw him said, I don't really want to restore the community. I don't love my people. I don't want to fix these problems we got. I really hate the fact that you were able to make it out and I wasn't able to. I hate that. So instead of turning that energy towards getting better or fixing myself, I turn it towards you. I ain't never heard 1 John 3 and verse 15. I never heard. Read that scripture again.
Whosoever hateth his brother is a murderer.
I never heard that in my life. So therefore, that hatred, it went from me not liking you and watching you, and then when I got my opportunity, I shot you. And that's what our people are doing all over the U.S. But somehow we celebrating things, we turning up, acting like nothing going on. Let me get the next video. We acting like There's no problems. Instead of addressing it or looking for solutions, our people going from day to day. That's why the Lord said the whole head is sick. Why should I keep beating on them? And they think this is acceptable. They think this is the way they should be. Let's look at this next one. Shalom. Hey, bruh. Hey, sis. You've been watching for a whole 15 minutes. You still ain't subscribed yet? Go ahead and hit that button down at the bottom of the page. All right, I'm going to shut my black lips. You get back to the class. Most High in Christ bless.
Gang culture, it just perpetuates the crab in the barrel mentality, and it makes it look cool. It's so damn sad that in this day and age, the coolest thing that a kid can have these days are ops. Kids want to have ops so bad. There are kids that live in the goddamn suburbs, been in the suburbs all their life, and they want to talk about having ops. You don't sit your funky ass down somewhere and read a book.
But they ain't never been taught to read no damn book. Go to Isaiah chapter 1, right? Let's read verse 4 again. They never been taught to read a book. Their parents probably could barely read. They don't have any idea how destructive their mindset is. And when they get old enough, they're going to live that out, whether they from the suburbs or from the hood, because they want ops, because that's what they put in the music. That's what our enemies put in the music, and they pump it to our people, and our people are being burdened by the sins we live in. Read that.
Isaiah chapter 1 and verse 4. Ah, sinful nation, a people laden with iniquity.
A people who is burdened down by their sin. When you kill one person, think about how many people it affects. That person you kill got a mother, a father, right? They have cousins. They have community friends. They might have a basketball team. Certain activities that they do in the community that they live in. Think about how many people get impacted when you shoot one person. Now think when you shoot 10, 15. Think about now, we are literally at war trying to kill each other in our own community. We live in a 4-block radius, and we wake up every single day, and all we do is say, yo, I either got to kill somebody, I got to kill my op, or I'm going to get killed by my op. That's what we live in as a people. These little kids is emulating that. They say, man, I want to have an op. I want to have somebody in a 2-block radius or a block down from me, that a block over that I don't like, that I want to kill. That's what the music, read 1 Corinthians 15 and verse 31. That's what the music is perpetuating. That's what the music is pushing. But we don't see it as a people and say, how we stop this? How do we stop the issues that we're seeing in our community? Read that. Yep.
1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse 33. Be not deceived. Evil communications corrupt good manners.
So these children are being corrupted by the communication that they're receiving on a daily basis. Ain't no parents. I remember when I was growing up, you had the parental advisory sticker. You had to get CDs. So you had to sneak and get the parental advisory version of an album. You had to download it, right? You had to get the CD. You had to sneak. Now a kid got Apple Music. You think a parent know what a kid listening to? Hell no. They don't know what their child listening to. Everything got curses in it nowadays. Child don't know nothing. He ain't never heard an edited song in his whole life. I remember you used to hear the music, you'd be like, this don't even sound like, what the hell is this? This don't sound like the video. This don't sound like the real song. They were skipping stuff. You're like, what the hell? This ain't the song. I need to join with the curses. You was searching for the one with the curses on it. Now a little kid don't know nothing different. He turned on YouTube, it's F this, bang this, shoot him up, and the beat is fire too. We're not going to act like the beats don't be hot. Got the kid bopping. He bopping, he like, man, I want an op too. This sound good to have an op. Read it again.
1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse 33. Be not deceived. Evil communications corrupt good manners.
Okay, give me the next video. So these are the evil things that are being pushed. You also got the damn Christian church. I ain't letting them off the hook. Let's look at the Christian church.
At the risk of being heretical tonight, might I suggest to you that 85% of Jesus' life, he was out of order. 85% of his life,
Nigga, what?
he was doing what
Run
he
it
was
back,
not
man.
called.
Pissing me off, man. What the hell? Like what? You wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for the Lord. And you got the nerve to sit in front of your church and talk about what Jesus ain't do right. And nobody in the church got up and left. It would have been dust in my seat. Like, this nigga this church about to get burned the hell down. Still playing games. Hit play.
At the risk of being heretical tonight, might I suggest to you that 85% of Jesus' life, he was out of order. 85% of his life, he was doing what he was not called to do. God, y'all done got quiet. For 85% of his life, he was not flowing in his God-given function. 85% of his life, he is doing what his natural father wanted, but it did not line up with his divine DNA. For 85% of his life, and he's anointed, he's called, he's chosen, and he's wrong.
Yo, I'm telling you, it's a special bomb for him. It's going to do something different. It's going to hit him and spin like a top, right? Crush him, then explode. Give me 1 Peter chapter 2 and verse 22. Let's see what the Bible say about what he just said out his mouth. Let's see if the Bible lines up with what he just said out his mouth. Again, these are the things that are being pushed in our community. He got a church full of people that follow him. Ain't nobody get up. They sat in there like, well, I mean, pastor preaching today. Read that.
1 Peter chapter 2 and verse 22. Who did no sin.
Who what?
Who did no sin.
Read verse 21 in case you confused about who we talking about.
Verse 21. For even hereunto were ye called, because Christ also suffered for us, leaving us an example that ye should follow his steps. Who did no sin, neither was guile found in his mouth. Who, when he was reviled not again. When he suffered, he threatened not, but committed himself to him that judgeth righteously.
The Lord judged him righteous. He did no sin. How is a Negro holding the Bible and pushing this to people? You know why? Because we don't read. Because we laden with sin. We burdened by the sins we doing. So that church, that entire church, give me Jeremiah chapter 17 and verse 5 real quick. That entire church trusted in man. They don't believe in God. They don't believe in his Bible. They don't believe in Christ. They believe what Jamal R. Kelly Bryant say out of his damn mouth. Read that.
Jeremiah chapter 17 and verse 5. Thus saith the Lord, cursed be the man that trusteth in man, and maketh flesh his arm.
Okay, give me the next clip, man. That's the issue. The people are trusting in men. These are examples of the sins and the things that are burdening us as a community. Let's look at this next one. Look at this. Look at this video. This is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Read Jeremiah 17 one more time.
Jeremiah chapter 17 and verse 5. Thus saith the Lord, cursed be the man that trusteth in man, and maketh flesh his arm, and whose heart departeth from the Lord.
The Bible says that their heart has departed from the Lord. Your heart departed from the Lord if you don't know that the Lord didn't commit sin. That's like one of the first things you learn about Jesus. That's literally one of the first. Yo, Jesus didn't commit no sin. He bare our sins. He bare our burdens. For him to say for 85% of his life, he was wrong. How, again, what the hell was you doing in your life? What was you doing in your life that you feel like you have the ability to speak in such a way? It shows you that he knows I got a bunch of idiots in here. I got a bunch of people who ain't never going to pick up the Bible, who ain't never going to examine what I'm saying, so I can say whatever the hell I want. I can make it up as I go. But the Israelites, we're going to challenge that nonsense. Go ahead, hit play on this video, right? How could this even be a video or a title to a song that people are willing to listen to in our community the way our community look? Hit play.
Shake that ass, bitch. Hands on your knees. Hands on your knees.
1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse 33. I'm sick to my damn stomach. The song is called Rich Baby Daddy. How in the hell, I guarantee, I didn't even look up how many views it got. IT, look it up for me real quick. Tell me how many views it got. I guarantee it's over like 5 million. Guaranteed. This is what's being pushed in our community, to have a rich baby daddy. How about a husband? Read that.
1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse 33. Be not deceived. Evil communications corrupt good manners.
Evil things, right? I want to say a different word. Corrupt our manners. As a young girl gonna watch that video and say, Sexy Red got a rich baby daddy. SZA got a rich baby daddy. It's Drake. I could get me a rich baby daddy. It's a damn shame where we going as a community. These are examples of the things that's burdening us. Give me Genesis chapter 38, verse 14. I find this hilarious, right? I was looking at the Bible and I was saying, man, where did whores pop up? The difference now versus when we read the Bible, you could tell the difference between a whore and a regular woman. Read what we got. So Genesis 38, verse 14. Watch.
Genesis chapter 38 and verse 14. And she put her widow's garments off from her, and covered her with a veil, and wrapped herself, and sat in an open place, which is by the way to Timnath. For she saw that Shelah was grown, and she was not given unto him to wife.
Read.
When Judah saw her, he thought her to be an harlot, because she had covered her face.
So because she covered her face, she was a harlot. Nowadays, a whore don't cover nothing. A whore don't cover nothing nowadays. Give me Proverbs chapter 7 verse 10. Nowadays, a whore don't cover a damn thing. But back then, a whore was known by covering her face. Look at where we at. Look how far we in the gutter. This is gutter activity. When we read in Genesis that she had to cover her face and sit outside and be a hoe. Nowadays, the hoes is on YouTube. They ain't covering a damn thing. Read that.
Proverbs chapter 7 and verse 10. And behold, there met him a woman with the attire of an harlot and subtle of heart. She is loud and stubborn. Her feet abide not in her house.
See, a woman wore an attire of a harlot. Nowadays, the attire of a harlot is everyday clothing. You can't tell a hoe. If 8 hoes stood in a room with 2 church girls, you would not be able to tell the difference. You would be like, I think they all go to church. I think they all hoes. I don't know. I can't tell the difference. The only women that's dressing different on the entire earth is the righteous sisters keeping the laws of God. That's it. That's it. The rest is listening to SZA and Sexy Red talking about shake that blank, make your coochie breathe. What the hell? What? It ain't breathing in them pants, by the way. It stink. Give me Baruch chapter 1 and verse 17, man. You said it's not that many? Okay. Baruch chapter 1 and verse 17.
Baruch chapter 1 and verse 17.
I got IT doing research in the corner. Guarantee that video over millions. Go ahead. Baruch 1 and verse 17.
Baruch.
Don't look it up either. I know some of y'all want to look it up and watch the whole video. Stay in the spirit. Read that. Baruch 1 and 17.
Baruch chapter 1 and verse 17. For we have sinned before the Lord.
That's what this is. All the stuff we looking at, the hatred we got in our community, right? The ass shaking, the lasciviousness, the being out of order in the household, the adultery we commit, these are sins before God. Read.
And disobeyed him, and have not hearkened unto the voice of the Lord our God, to walk in the commandments that he gave us openly.
Read.
Since the day that the Lord brought our forefathers out of the land of Egypt, unto this present day, we have been disobedient unto the Lord our God.
Since we came out of Egypt, we don't know how to listen, man. We have no idea how to listen to God. We ain't right. As a people, we got to start to examine that. The Lord destroyed the world superpower for us. And we came out and said, you know how I'm going to repay you, Lord? I'm going to get a rich baby daddy. What that? 2.1 million. See? That's 2.1 million people being destroyed. Now you take that, and you take that 2.1 million, and you say, they're going to have children. And one day, the woman that's bumping Sexy Red going to be a grandmother. And she gonna say, I remember when Rich Baby Daddy came out when I was 15. That was my joint. The Lord got to burn this place because we have refused to follow God. Read that verse again.
Verse 19. Since the day that the Lord brought our forefathers out of the land of Egypt unto this present day, we have been disobedient unto the Lord our God, and we have been negligent in not hearing his voice.
You want to say negligent? Go ahead.
Wherefore the evils cleaved unto us, and the curse, which the Lord appointed by Moses his servant at the time that he brought our fathers out of the land of Egypt, to give us a land that floweth with milk and honey, like as it is to see this day.
Read.
Nevertheless, we have not hearkened unto the voice of the Lord our God.
Despite all the oppression we facing as a people, and the fact that we went to captivity after captivity, we still ain't listening. That's why the Lord said, will you be stricken anymore? When we talk about the love of our people, we got to understand the love the Lord got for us. The patience, give me Psalms 103 and verse 8. The level of patience the Lord is having with us to even have us in a position where we're learning who we are. And we have an opportunity to come back to him. If your kids was like us as a nation, man, I don't know. Some of us be locked up in jail. Psalms 103 and verse 8.
Psalms chapter 103 and verse 8.
Imagine trying to discipline your daughter and she come back and say, shake that ass, she breathe. That's what she come and tell you as a father. You like, what? You got to go. But the Lord been dealing with that. Us as a nation, we've been like that as a nation for generation after generation after generation. And he's been patient with us. Read that.
Psalms chapter 103 and verse 8. The Lord is merciful and gracious, slow to anger, and plenteous in mercy.
Okay, jump back. So when we reading this and we looking at these things, we got to understand this entire time the Lord been enduring, waiting on us to get right. Looking at us as a people and saying, why the hell won't they fix it? I'm punishing them, I'm afflicting them, and instead of getting right, read verse 21 again.
Verse 21. Nevertheless, we have not hearkened unto the voice of the Lord our God, according to all the words of the prophets, whom he sent unto us.
Read.
But every man followed the imagination of his own wicked heart.
Every man said, I'm going to do what I feel is right. As a matter of fact, when we were kids, your mother used to tell you to follow your heart. Follow what you love. Read that verse again.
But every man followed the imagination of his own wicked heart.
Read.
To serve strange gods and to do evil in the sight of the Lord our God.
Jump to chapter 2 and verse 1.
Chapter 2 and verse 1. Therefore the Lord hath made good his word.
The Lord said, I'm going to keep my promise. You want to keep being wicked? Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to punish you. I'm going to put you through hell on earth. I'm going to oppress you at every turn. Read.
Which he hath pronounced against us, and against our judges that judged Israel, and against our kings, and against our princes, and against the men of Israel and Judah, to bring upon us great plagues, such as never happened under the whole heaven.
The Lord said, I'm going to put stuff on you that ain't happened on earth. And we still like, I'm still about to shake my behind, Lord. What? Think about that. Think about the Lord looking at us as a people and saying, I'm going to make something happen to them I ain't did to nobody else on the planet. I'm going to make sure that every block they come down in Chicago, somebody's shooting and killing. That's going to make them get right. Nah, let's get some ops. What the hell wrong with them? What's wrong with them? They defective. Read that again, verse 2.
Verse 2. To bring upon us great plagues, such as has never happened under the whole heaven, as it came to pass in Jerusalem, according to the things that were written in the law of Moses.
Jump to chapter 3 now, read verse 8.
Chapter 3 and verse 8. Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity.
So we are yet this day still facing the things that we looked at. It's still, the Lord's still doing things under heaven that we ain't seen. Still got us under the curses, still oppressing us as a people. So we as a people, we got to start to examine that and say, what the hell, why does this keep happening? That's what Black History Month should be about. That's what every day for the so-called African-American, Black, Hispanic, and Native should be about. It should be about looking at why the hell are we still being oppressed at every turn? Read that again.
Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us for reproach and a curse, and to be subject to payments, according to all the iniquities of our fathers, which departed from the Lord our God.
So the Lord said, give me Deuteronomy 28, verse 28. Watch this. The Lord said, you ain't listening to me, I'm going to put you through different curses. I'm going to turn you into a reproach on the earth. So you got to go to work. You think that's normal. Paying taxes, you think it's normal. Having blonde hair, eating pork and getting sick, killing each other, you think these things are normal. This is what the Lord said you would be under. Read that, Deuteronomy 28:28.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 28. The Lord shall smite thee with madness.
The Lord shall smite you with what?
With madness.
To be mad is to have disordered thinking. To think up is down. The Negro thinks that they making progress. If you ask them, how have we improved? They'll say, we've actually moved forward. As a community, we've made improvements. Things have gotten better for us. That's madness. Your daughter is half naked. Your son doesn't want a wife. He hates a woman that looks like his mother. That's forward. And somebody got to look at this and say, come here, how are we going to fix this? How are we going to fix this? Who the hell is going to rise up and say, we gotta change the mindset to these people. We're going to destroy ourselves. The cliff is in front of us, and instead of saying, let's move away from the cliff, we walking towards it saying that's the right way to go. Read that again.
The Lord shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of art.
Jump to verse 48.
Verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall set against thee.
The Lord said, not only would you be mad and blind, but I'm going to send enemies against you. I'm going to send nations against you that's going to attack you at every turn. What they're going to do to you, read?
In hunger.
And hunger. You need food to survive, don't you? Go ahead.
And in thirst.
You need water to survive. Read.
And in nakedness.
And you need clothing on your back because you ain't about to walk around like a damn savage. You're not walking around butt naked, but guess what you're going to do? You're going to conform to whatever these nations tell you. You don't want to serve me, so you're going to serve these nations. You're going to make white Jesus your God. You're going to turn the mindset that I gave you into whatever the hell they tell you to do because you are going to be stuck to them to survive. In order to eat, in order to clothe yourself, in order to have water which you need, they're going to start telling you things and you're going to conform to them. That goes along with the madness that we face as a people. When we talk about the love of our people, we got to look at that and say, we are destroyed because every day you wake up, you are influenced by the fact you need to go to work and work that job. So you can't tell up from down. If you go to work right now and they tell you you're going to lie to that client in order to make this happen, you're going to start to say, well, shoot, I know the Bible tell me I probably shouldn't hustle them, but I kind of got to hustle them because I got to eat. And now you're in a position where you're like, I don't really know what's wrong or what's right in this situation. I don't know which way to move. The Lord said you didn't want to serve him for the abundance of everything. So therefore, you're going to serve these enemies for your survival. And these enemies is wicked as hell. They're the ones that'll tell you need a rich baby daddy. Keep reading.
And in wants of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee.
The reason you ain't got a chain upon your neck is because they know I can get him to do whatever he wants for survival. Whatever I want for survival. Like a dog. When you see those dogs off the leash, that dog know my food comes from master. My place of survival comes from master. The mindset that I have in my brain when it comes to whether I bark or whether I relax comes from that master. That master don't got to put you on no leash no more. They let you walk around freely. Hey, go in the park and play. When I call you back, you going to come back. When I tell you jump, you're going to jump. I'm going to spin my finger like this, you're going to roll over. We are dogs off the leash as a people. We've been destroyed because we refuse to turn back to God. Go to Baruch chapter 3 and verse 8. That's why when it says we're subject to payments, reproach, and a curse, you got to understand what that comes with. That comes with, I'm going to change your mentality and how you think in order for you to survive off of that thing. I'm going to make you switch up what's right and what's wrong. The Lord told us what was right and what's wrong. Now, people saying bullshit like Christ sinned. Saying things like, let's have a rich baby daddy. Saying things like, I want an op. Read that.
Baruch chapter 3 and verse 8. Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us for a reproach and a curse, and to be subject to payments, according to all the iniquities of our fathers, which departed from the Lord our God.
Read.
Hear, Israel, the commandments of life. Give ear to understand wisdom.
So that's what's coming out. The understanding that's going to help us as a people. The laws of God to change our mindset. Go ahead.
How happeneth it, Israel, that thou art in thine enemy's land, that thou art waxen old in a strange country, that thou art defiled with the dead?
So how happened it? Let's get that book real quick. They stole it. How happened it? How do we end up in this position where we so destroyed? We looked at some videos, but it's a long process we went through of being broken and destroyed as a people. Go ahead, read the book title for me, officer.
They stole it, but you must return it.
Okay, go ahead. Go for it.
To change the whole brown wheat grains into white flour,
Read a little faster because you got more.
the manufacturer sends the grains through a milling or refining process. This process removes the fiber and the bran. Fiber and bran are very nutritious parts of the grain. This milling process also removes 90% of vitamin B1 and 50% of the other 12 or so vitamins and minerals.
Next page.
The manufacturer replaces about 4 of these vitamins. Now, when these 4 are replaced, the manufacturer then calls the flour or bread enriched. In other words, it is like a person taking $12 from you and giving back to you $4 and then saying he has enriched you. In reality, he has not enriched you. He has stolen from you. White America had a milling experience awaiting the black male.
That's the point. We got to look at this now. We as a people have been milled. There was a milling experience that awaited the black male. We as a black men, this is what's happening to us. We the leaders of the community. Damn, don't say Meek Mill. You killing me. Oh, my God. Go ahead. Read that. Sheesh. Meek Mill, he been milled. Go ahead.
Like other men of the world, the black male was created with a spiritual dimension, a physical dimension, a mental dimension, a social dimension, and a psychological dimension. Through the milling process of slavery, white America milled these dimensions in the black male and then replaced or enriched some of these dimensions with inferior versions. The black male was milled and enriched so the white America would be made rich.
So over time, what happened to us, go back to Baruch chapter 3 and verse 10 and give me chapter 8 in this book. Read that verse real quick.
Baruch chapter 3 and verse 10. How happeneth it, Israel, that thou art in thine enemy's land?
We in our enemy's land right here in America. Go ahead.
That thou art waxen old in a strange country, that thou art defiled with the dead.
Read.
That thou art counted with them that go down into the grave.
Right now, we're dead as a people. When you look at our people and the love they need, they're in a dead estate. They don't understand right from wrong, how they should move, because what's good in them has been taken out and replaced with enriched ways of being, with having ops, with having rich baby daddies, with having the mindset that Christ committed sin, or going to church on Sunday. These are the things that have been put back into our people. So somebody got to stand up and say, what is the right mentality to have? How do you move? Let's keep looking. Let's keep reading on. Watch this.
White America milled the manhood of the black male slave and enriched him as a boy.
As a what?
As a boy.
Go ahead.
White America tortured and savagely treated the black male until white America turned these survivors from warriors and family heads to subdued human beings. White America made the black man into a boy. A similar response was demonstrated by captives in the Nazi concentration and extermination camps. After much stress, these inmates began to manifest childlike behavior.
So now the black man has been destroyed and is moving around like a boy. Don't have no idea how to govern his community, how to actually fix things. Instead, he says, yo, I'm just going to go out. I'm a party. I'm a club. I'm going to get baby to mama, the baby mama. I'm going to become a breeder. The scripture said, how happened it? It happened over time. There was a process that was done to us. We were treated like animals. And what was bred out of us was not only our way to guide our community and lead, but everything that the Bible talks about. We lost it. We destroy when you look at our people. Let's go to chapter 8.
The slavery experience caused a subtle hostility between the black male adult and the black female adult. This hostility continues to exist today. The black female adult plays the dominant role in the family, tries to maintain that role, but shows hostility because she does.
Hey, watch the cursor, yo.
The black male adult is raised and influenced by his mother's somewhat hostile concept of black adult male. He finds himself fighting between his mother's influence, his mate's expectation, and his own aspiration. This situation can leave him very frustrated.
All right, jump down past the scripture real quick. We know Ephesians 5:22 that wives should submit themselves unto their own husbands. But watch this.
The mother and the wife need to support the husband as the father and the priest of his home. They should teach their children to respect their father as priest and head of his home. God, the creator of mankind, designed it that way. Since the black male has been damaged and since the black female has also been the perpetrator of the male's fate out of necessity and now willfully, she must be a key person in re-establishing the black father's role in the family.
So what has happened over time is not only was the black man beat down, but the woman out of necessity perpetuated it. These are the things we got to talk about when we look at our community and we talk about loving our people. We got to understand these sisters destroyed. They were forced to be destroyed. Some of them, they continue it because they want to. They don't want to relinquish that title of being the one that runs the family. And a lot of these men, they move like boys. They don't know how to govern a family. They never seen a man in their entire life. Grandpa was a boy. Their papa, their dad was a boy. Their uncles was boys because they didn't have the laws of God to teach them. Give me 1 Kings chapter 2 and verse 2. That's what I want. Yep, 1 Kings 2 and 2. That is what I want. And then we go on to Isaiah 59. Did I have more on this? Okay, all right, you can drop it.
1 Kings chapter 2 and verse 2. I go the way of all the earth. Be thou strong, therefore, and show thyself a man. And keep the charge of the Lord thy God to walk in his ways, to keep his statutes and his commandments and his judgments and his testimonies, as it is written in the law of Moses, that thou mayest prosper in all that thou doest, and whithersoever thou turnest thyself.
So before David died, he told his son, in order to be a man, you must be applying the laws of God. Fathers, uncles, grandfathers, they didn't learn this. They learned how to be boys over time. That's what happened to us as a people. We were destroyed. Isaiah chapter 59 verse 9. So where we at now, right here in 2024, is we dealing with a destroyed people. That's the point of all of this that we're looking at. We're dealing with a destroyed people. When you talk to your mother, your uncle that don't know the truth, your father, even the brothers and sisters around you that are learning the truth, we destroyed. We trying to fix ourselves. We trying to come out of the state in which we were left when we didn't keep God's commandments. Isaiah 59 and verse 9.
Isaiah chapter 59 and verse 9. Therefore is judgment far from us, neither doth justice overtake us. We wait for light, but behold, obscurity. For brightness, but we walk in darkness.
We walk in what?
We walk in darkness.
We got no justice and we walking in darkness. I don't know if y'all ever try to navigate a room where it's pitch black. But that's what we're doing as a people. We are navigating in darkness. Nobody knows up from down, right from left, because we all were blind at one point in time. Now when we start to get the laws of God, we start to say, okay, what direction should we move in? Leviticus 26 and verse 17. Leviticus 26 and verse 17.
Leviticus chapter 26 and verse 17. And I will set my face against you, and ye shall be slain before your enemies.
Read.
They that hate you shall reign over you.
That's who's reigned over us up until this point. We got a nation still over us that hates us. Let me not say up until this point. Still to this moment, as we speak, we got people and nations over us that hate us. So if they hate you, what will they teach you? Why would somebody that hates you teach you how to love yourself? Why would they show you the way to love your people? Why would that be their goal? Let's show the African American man how he loves his people. Let's show him how he fixes his community, how he can benefit the things that's going on, or fix the issues that's going on with him. Why in the hell would they do that? We as a people got to start to think. When you love your people, you start to consider these things, and you say, hold on, wait. These people hate us. They're over us. But until we had this Bible, we couldn't see it clearly. We couldn't start to look at it and examine it for what it was.
Proverbs chapter 3 and verse 31. Envy thou not the oppressor.
There we go. Read it again.
Envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways.
The reason you shouldn't choose any of the ways of your oppressors is because they hate you. Think about that. If they hate you, why would you choose what they're doing to you? Why would you say this makes sense? They hate you. They know that celebrating Christmas is against your God. Then you say, you know what I want to do? Everybody else doing Christmas is for the kids. We so destroyed we don't understand. We want somebody to love us. We want somebody to accept us, and we don't realize there's people over us that hate us, and everything that they do is because they hate us. Then we choose it and bring it to ourselves like it's beneficial. Read that again.
Verse 31. Envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways. For the froward is abomination to the Lord.
Okay. So an example, right? An example is that many of our people this year, they're going to go vote. They like, if we could get Trump back in office, give me that, please stop helping us now. Many of our people think if we vote, it's going to change something. These are the things that we got to understand. We think that these people love us. We think these are people that love us, that these politicians love us. We thought Obama loved us. I heard a little kid say when Obama was elected, now everything's going to be all right. This is a little kid with no daddy in his house that said, now Obama's in office, everything's going to be okay. Things are going to be better for me. What? Watch this. Let's look at this real quick. Read the title of the book. We destroy, man. And we got to understand, when you love your people, this is a problem for you. All the oppression that we under, all the things that we face as a people, you look at these things on a daily basis. You can't go through life thinking about how your life is okay. It's not okay. Our people are destroyed as a people, and we got to say, how do we fix it? Let's read that.
Please stop helping us.
Read the bottom part. I want that to stick too.
How liberals make it harder for blacks to succeed.
So this is a book that explains why politicians, liberal politicians that seem to be helping us, make it worse for us. They actually do not benefit us. So leave us the hell alone is what this book is saying. Go ahead. Let's go to that page.
We'll call it vain romance. The sober truth is that the most important civil rights battles were fought and won 4 decades before the Obama presidency. The black underclass continues to face many challenges, but they have to do with values and habits.
So our issues is that we don't have no damn values and habits that benefit us as a people. Go ahead.
Not oppression from a manifestly unjust society.
Because if within the society we could get ourselves right, we could find a way to fix things. But we don't got no values, and the society is oppressing us. Go ahead.
Blacks have become their own worst enemy, and liberal leaders do not help matters by blaming self-inflicted wounds on whites or society. The notion that racism is holding back blacks as a group, or that the better black outcomes cannot be expected until racism has been vanquished, is a dodge. And encouraging blacks to look to politicians to solve their problems does them a disservice. As the next chapter explains, one lesson of the Obama presidency, maybe the most important one for blacks, is that having a black man in the Oval Office is less important than having one in the home.
That's what we got to understand as a people. It don't matter who's in office. Do you got a black man in your home? You single sister, you got a black man to raise that child. We don't have the right mindset. We're looking at the election thinking the election going to fix something. When you love your people, you see that mindset and you say, damn, I got to get out here and do something about this. They think that if they vote this year, it's going to change something. And it's always been wicked niggas that push our people to going with white society. Give me 1 Maccabees chapter 11 and verse 21. We've always had this issue. We've always had people who feigned or had fake love and went with the dominant society, and they hated our people. The Bible documents their hatred for our people. But there were people that followed them because they looked at them as someone who was going to be a benefit to them. 1 Maccabees 11 and verse 21. Watch.
1 Maccabees chapter 11 and verse 21. Then certain ungodly persons who hated their own people.
They did what?
Who hated their own people.
These men hated their own people. Go ahead.
Went unto the king and told him that Jonathan besieged the tower. Whereof, when he heard, he was angry. And immediately removing, he came to Ptolemaeus and wrote unto Jonathan that he should not lay siege to the tower, but come and speak with him at Ptolemaeus in great haste.
So the point is that you always had wicked Negroes that were against the success of their people. 1 Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 9 real quick. In the time that Esau was ruling, these men were evil as hell. They were killing their brothers, putting them to death, killing children. And these men say, you know what we need to do? We need to go link up with them. So think about the Negro today. Think about what we read in terms of the oppression that our people face. The fact that they got sexy red out here shaking her behind. The fact that they milled the black man, that they broke up their marriages and they broke up the black woman and made the black woman think she had a position of leadership. They took the black man out the household, and now we think if Donald Trump get in office, this is going to fix things. We the same people. We got to get the Bible in our mind so we can get right, because we still going to Esau thinking Esau going to fix something. 1 Maccabees 1 and verse 9.
1 Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 9. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves, so did their sons after them many years. And evils were multiplied in the earth. And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanius, son of Antiochus the king, who had been an hostage at Rome. And he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks.
Go ahead.
In those days went there out of Israel wicked men, who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about.
Hey, let's vote or die. Let's vote for Trump. I'm his campaign manager. It's the same spirit. Let's figure out how we could get this election to be for our benefit. Let's make a covenant with the heathen. We'll vote for you if you give us this. It's the same mentality you see in 2024. Go ahead.
For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. So this device pleased them well. Then certain of the people were so forward herein, that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen.
They gave them permission to be like the heathens that were around them. So now, read verse 15 real quick.
Verse 15. And made themselves uncircumcised.
No, I mean 14.
Verse 14. Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem, according to the customs of the heathen.
Okay, now 2 Maccabees chapter 4 and verse 7.
2 Maccabees chapter 4 and verse 7. But
these are examples of men that hate our people. Despite all the oppression that was going on in the time of the Maccabees, just like the oppression we see going on today, you got pastors who hate our people. You have politicians who hate our people, because what they do is they lead us to making a covenant with the enemy. They don't say get away from them, get your minds right, restore back the things that you need, put a black man back in the household, women play your position. They don't say that. They say, let us go and figure out how we can push abortion more. That's the mindset that we have as a people. We think that going to these different people who are set up by the dominant society is actually going to benefit us. And they hate us just like these same spirits did in the time of the Bible. Read that.
2 Maccabees chapter 4 and verse 7.
Yep.
But after the death of Seleucus, when Antiochus called Epiphanes took the kingdom, Jason, the brother of Anias, labored underhand to be high priest.
He labored underhand. He was a slimy Negro. He labored underhand to be the high priest. So let's see what he did. Go ahead.
Promising unto the king by intercession 360 talents of silver, and of another revenue 80 talents.
Read.
Beside this, he promised to assign 150 more, if he might have license to set him up a place for exercise.
In the time of the Greeks, it was called a gymnasium. It's a place for naked exercise. He said, I'll give you money if I can set up a place where we could exercise naked. Think about how evil that is. Think about the men today and what they want money so they could go do. So they can have Diddy parties. This is what they want money for, not to benefit the people. Hey, put me in a position of power so we could get drunk and have orgies. That's the mindset of our people. And you say, let's follow that dude. I want to be just like him. I want to go to the Super Bowl and sit there and be bored at the game. I want to see how I can get on a private jet and waste money. I want to be just like, I want 16 bathrooms in one ass. This is the mindset that we've got from these people who hate us. Jason was one of those. Go ahead.
And for the training up of youth in the fashions of the heathen, and to write them of Jerusalem by the name of Antiochans.
Read.
Which, when the king had granted and had gotten into his hand the rule, he forthwith brought his own nation to the Greekish fashion. And the royal privileges granted of special favor to the Jews by the means of John, the father of Eupolemus, who went ambassador to Rome for amnesty and aid, he took away. And putting down the governments which were according to the law, he brought up new customs against the law.
Jump down now to verse 15. This was the end result of what him cleaving to the other nations did.
Verse 15. Not setting by the orders of their fathers, but liking the glory of the Grecians best of all.
So when we look at the men in our community today, they don't want to be Israelites. They want to figure out how to assimilate with the dominant society and put themselves in a position of power. They want to be just like Jason. And that's what Jason set up here. When he did this, he set up a gym. He got the young men. They started to follow him. And the end goal was, let's get them to want to be American. Let's get them to want to be Greeks at the time, Antiochians at the time. It's the same thing you see going on today. And if you love your people, you got to say, what are we going to do to change this? Give me Psalm 94, verse 16. All these breaches and these problems that we got as a people, somebody got to say, damn, I love my people enough to stand up. I love my people enough to say, how do we fix this? Well, how do we change our mentality, and what do we need to do in order to improve the people? Read that.
Psalm chapter 94 and verse 16. Who will rise up from me against the evildoers?
There's a lot of damn evil doing going on in the world. So the Lord asked the question, who love their people? Do you love your people enough to rise up against the evil that's going on in this earth? Read it again.
Who will rise up for me against the evildoers?
Go ahead.
Or who will stand up for me against the workers of iniquity?
Who's going to stand up to the ones that work iniquity, that spend their day and their night trying to figure out, how can I keep these people destroyed? How can I make it worse? Sirach 7 and verse 7. Ecclesiastes 7 and verse 7.
Oh, you. Shalom, Israel. Most High in Christ blessed. Hebrews chapter 10 and 25 said, not forsaking the assembly of ourselves as a manner of some is, but exhorting one another. And so much more as we see the day approaching. Come on down to Mesa, California, 7254 University Avenue, and come get some of this good news you can use. Shalom.
Chapter 15, verse 24.
Well, we got to look at, you got it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 7. Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad.
When we look at the world, there were men that rose up. They saw the oppression of our people, and they said, we got to do something about this. It's happened, right? Give me that video real quick. Give me the Malcolm X video. Let's start there.
Do you hate all white people?
I don't think it's a fair question. The white man doesn't even come into my attitude. Mr. Muhammad teaches us to love our own kind and let the white man take care of himself. For a white man today, sir, after kidnapping millions of black people from Africa, stripping them of all human characteristics and relegating them to the role of chattel or cattle or animals, commodity, merchandise that could be bought and sold at will, and then 100 years since the Emancipation Proclamation, using every type of deceptive method to further us into slavery, called second-class citizenship, I think that it would take a whole lot of nerve for white people today to ask Negroes, do they hate them?
Okay.
Read
In
Sirach,
New York,
read
Malcolm X
Ecclesiastes
famous-
7 and verse 7. He said, you got some damn nerve asking me. He stood up and saw all that was being done to our people and said, you got some nerve asking me if I hate you. Read that.
Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 7.
When you love your people, you understand who hate your people. Read that.
Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad, and a gift destroyeth the heart.
All right, let me get that book on Marcus Garvey real quick. Let me get that book. We as a people got to understand we being hated. So who's going to rise up and have love for their people? Who going to rise up and say, you know what? I got to keep fixing myself. I got to get right. I got to keep this thought of the entire world is against my nation. I can't get comfortable. I can't have the mindset of it's going to be all right today because I'm straight. No, there's a coordinated effort and attack against your people. And that's what these men that we looking at understood. That's what Malcolm X understood. He said, you got the nerve to ask me if I hate you after all you did to my people. Let's look at this book.
Race First, the ideological and organizational struggles of Marcus Garvey and the Universal Negro Improvement Association. Garvey went about the task of converting the disabilities of race into a positive tool of liberation with a thorough aggressiveness. No man can convince me contrary to my belief, he declared, because my belief is founded upon a hard and horrible experience, not a personal experience, but a racial experience.
That's what we're going through. As a race, they hate us. The blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, the Israelites, have been hated as a race. Go ahead.
The world has made being black a crime, and I have felt it in common with men who suffer like me. And instead of making it a crime, I hope to make it a virtue.
I hope to make it the greatest thing on earth because I love my people. I love my nation. That's what he's saying. Jump down to the last paragraph, and then I need the next page.
The primacy of race in Garvey's thought was coupled with a deep pessimism concerning the future of the black man in America. He believed that the black man, with increasingly ample educational opportunities, would aspire to positions of influence, which would bring him into direct competition with the white power structure. Within 50 to 100 years, he predicted such confrontation would lead to a racial class, which would end disastrously for the black race.
Read that next line on the next paragraph.
This analysis led Garvey's inevitably in the direction of racial separation.
So what Garvey understood was if the black man rises up, eventually there's going to be a race war. So instead of that, we need to get the hell. Read Revelation chapter 18 and verse 4. We need to get the hell away from Esau. This was his mindset. I'm going to build my people up, and we got to get the hell away from our oppressor. We can't be with them. We can't be acting like everything going to be all right. We'll survive in it. We'll coexist in that society, but at some point, we're going to have to get the hell away from them. Read that.
Revelation chapter 18 and verse 4.
It's the same mindset that Christ has. This is what he told us. Go ahead.
And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues.
This was the mindset that Christ, who loved his people, had. Give me Matthew chapter 4 and verse 13. We in darkness when Christ come on the scene. He loved his people. What he's pushing is for us to come out of her. That's what he was teaching the people. He loved his people because he was willing to go to where they was at, teach them, deal with their effed up mentality, and get them to see this ain't the way you're supposed to be living. There's a God that loves you. There's a way you're supposed to be. There's a whole nation of us that needs to rise up. Matthew chapter 4 and verse 13.
Matthew chapter 4 and verse 13. And leaving Nazareth, he came and dwelt in Capernaum, which is upon the sea coast in the borders of Zebulun and Naphtali, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by Isaiah the prophet, saying, the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali, by the way of the sea, beyond Jordan, Galilee of the Gentiles. The people which sat in darkness saw great light.
We are the people that sat in great darkness. Specifically, here is referring to the northern kingdom. But now, we all in hell. We in great darkness. And Christ is the light. The understanding that we have, that we the Israelites, when you love your people, you understand it's the light that people need to come out of that darkness. It's the only way to know who they are, to have a shared identity, to understand that there's morals that we had from the beginning of time. It's the only way to fix the nonsense that we looked at earlier. Go ahead.
And to them which sat in the region and shadow of death, light is sprung up.
Read.
From that time, Jesus began to preach and to say, repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand.
Jump to chapter 9 and read verse 35. He was telling the people to repent. Why? Because he loved his people. Just like Marcus Garvey, just like Malcolm X, but there's a difference in what Christ had. Christ has the laws. His prophets now, we on earth with the laws of God. To show our people, this is the light you're missing. Yeah, you had the mindset of separate, but you ain't have the laws of God to create the order that was needed. Now we got it. Now we got the package, and it's the last days, and we bringing it to the people to let them know we can fix this. But the only way we're going to fix it is through God. So as someone who loves their people, you're going to have to exercise what we're going to read about here. Watch, Matthew chapter 9 and verse 35.
Matthew chapter 9 and verse 35. And Jesus went about all the cities and villages, teaching in their synagogues and preaching the gospel of the kingdom and healing every sickness and every disease among the people. But when he saw the multitudes, he was moved with compassion
He had
on them.
compassion. We need that. We got to understand that. We ain't never been taught to have compassion on our brothers and our sisters, but Christ had compassion upon the people. I ain't saying go be moist and emotional, but in order to build a nation, you need compassion. Look at how destroyed we are. You think Sexy Red had a father that loved her? We got to consider this. When we look at these men and these women in our community, did they have the proper structure to build them up? So when Christ saw them, he said, man, they need compassion. Read verse 36 again.
Verse 36. But when he saw the multitudes, he was moved with compassion on them, because they fainted and were scattered abroad as sheep having no shepherd.
They had nobody to protect them from all the evil. So when you love your people, you got to have compassion. You got to look at their situation and say, how the hell are we going to fix this? It's going to take somebody having love for them. It's going to take somebody saying, okay, this is the way to move. Meeting them where they're at, so to speak. Matthew chapter 14 and verse 14. That's what we're learning. We're learning to move in the spirit of Christ. He said, I'm going to make you fishers of men. I'm going to show you through my spirit how to have compassion upon the people. Bring them back to who they are. When you love your people, you're going to go through that process. You're going to do what needs to be done to get them back to God. Read that.
Matthew chapter 14 and verse 14. And Jesus went forth and saw a great multitude and was moved with compassion toward them, and he healed their sick.
So we have to have compassion on the people. Christ had compassion. Give me Mark chapter 3 and verse 20. Christ had compassion. Also, this is how Christ moved when it came to the people. Mark chapter 3 and verse 20.
Mark chapter 3 and verse 20. And the multitude cometh together again, so that they could not so much as eat bread.
Christ and the disciples were dealing with the people so long that they couldn't even eat. They couldn't even prioritize having a meal. That shows you how much building their people was a priority to them. How much they love their people. You got brothers who don't study for a week, 2 weeks at a time, don't watch no classes. But Christ, when he woke up, from the time he woke up to the time he went to sleep, the people were a priority. The love of his people was a priority for him. When you love your people, that's how you're going to move. You're going to start to prioritize them over your own fleshly lusts and desires. Read that again.
Verse
20.
Verse 20. And the multitude cometh together again, so that they could not so much as eat bread.
Jump to chapter 6 and verse 31. That is the mindset that they had. They looked at their people, they said, man, they jacked up. And we worse now than we wasn't in Rome. We worse now. So think about how much work there is to be done. A lot of us, we in the truth, but we not realizing if we the ones that's going to fix this, it's going to take dedication. It's going to take long hours. It's going to take pushing yourself. If you prioritizing your lust and all you do is work, and you never got time to study or build up the people or deal with the men around you or call your brother and check on them, how the hell we going to fix our nation? Read that.
Mark chapter 6 and verse 31. And he said unto them, Come ye yourselves apart into a desert place and rest a while. For there were many coming and going, and they had no leisure so much as to eat.
They had no time to eat because there were many issues that they had to take care of. There was many sick people. There was many people who needed healing. That's what you learn in this Bible for, to move in this same spirit. Not so you can sit on your hands. You learn it so you can love your people, so you can take care of them, so you can restore the decayed state of the flock. That's the purpose. That's the reason we learning it. Hebrews chapter 4 verse 14. When we learning this, if we love our people, we're going to examine that about ourselves and say, I need compassion. I need to see the oppression of my people and be activated by it. Also, this is what you need. Go ahead.
Hebrews chapter 4 and verse 14. Seeing then that we have a great high priest that is passed into the heavens, Jesus the Son of God, let us hold fast our profession. For we have not an high priest which cannot be touched with the feeling of our infirmity.
We have a high priest in Christ that came here and was in a body just like us. You don't think he wanted to lay down? You don't think people got on his nerves? You don't think he was like, damn, what the hell she asked me? He said, thou hast had 5 husbands. He dealt with the ratchet black woman too, but he was patient with her. He dealt with niggas too. He was patient with them. He dealt with men that tried to stop what he had to do. He had Peter telling him, no, you ain't going to die. I'm going to come do something different. He told Peter, get thee away from me, Satan. His own brothers. He had to deal with everything we got to deal with. But even having to deal with that, finish the verse.
But was in all points tempted like as we are, yet without sin.
So even though he was tempted the way he was tempted, he was found without sin. That's what we want to aspire to. That's where our minds got to go. If we love the people, we're not going to be walking around here being hypocrites. We're not going to be talking about what needs to be fixed and not fixing it our damn selves. That's something we're going to examine. We're going to say, look at all the BS that the people got to deal with. Who's going to be the example of what's right? Whose household is going to be in order so you can show them, man, this is what your wife's supposed to move like that. This is how your children's supposed to move. This is how you lead. This is how you have compassion. This is when you lay down the hammer, and this is when you be nice. Somebody has to be the example of that, like Christ was the example of that. That's what we learn in here. When you love your people, you're going to prioritize that. You're going to make sure you're studying so you're an example to the people. Give me John chapter 13, verse 34. If we see all the issues with our people and we love our people, we're not going to be moving half-assed with the truth. We're not going to have this information and then say, I ain't got to do nothing with it. I ain't got to push myself. I ain't got to be better. Because you understand that this is life or death. Read that.
John chapter 13 and verse 34. A new commandment I give unto you, that ye love one another, as I have loved you, that ye also love one another. By this shall all men know that ye are my disciples, if ye have love one to another.
The way that we're going to know if we're the disciples of Christ is if people look at us and say, we love one another. Loving one another ain't just for show when you're in front of people. The actions you do when you at home, that shows you love your people. Why? Because you understand you're an example of what righteousness looks like. You understand that setting your house in order is going to influence the nation. You understand that a strong nation start at home. It start with you. If you ain't right and you a hypocrite and you trying to tell people to be right, you got a problem. How are people going to change? They know hypocrites. Every one of us know a hypocrite, but none of us know a ton of men that live what they speak. Where's that at? When we going to be those men? That's what we got to ask ourselves, because that's what the people need. We need to be the men that we talking about. We can't just talk about it and then not live it and not push ourselves and not continue to get better. These are things we got to examine. If we continue to be hypocrites or we don't move and we don't fix the issues we got, how can we change the community? If that ain't your mindset daily, then you're no different than a Christian pastor. Because a Christian pastor has no problem living in sin. They have no problem leading a double life. Give me Matthew chapter 22 and verse 37. They got no problem hating their people. But when you love your people, you understand changing yourself is an act of loving your nation. How you going to love the nation as you love yourself and you hate yourself? Read that.
Matthew chapter 22 and verse 37. Jesus said unto them, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thine heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
You shall love your neighbor as you love yourself. Christ summarized it to 2 commandments. And the second one was, you were to love your neighbor as you love yourself. So if you ain't examining how you love yourself on a day-to-day basis, how are you going to move the nation forward? A nation that's been taught nothing but hatred. A nation that's been taught everything opposite of God. Who's their example that they can look to say, I'm going to follow him as he follows Christ? Read verse 40.
Verse 40. On these 2 commandments hang all the law and the prophets.
Everything in this Bible hangs on you loving God and you loving your neighbor as you love yourself. That's not a light thing. When you love your people, you'll think about that on a day-to-day basis. You won't say, I'm not going to read today. Because you understand. Give me Sirach and Sirach chapter 33, 17. You understand when you don't read, you impact others. When you don't read, you impact others. I think that's what I want.
Yes.
Come on, read that.
Sirach chapter 33 and verse 17. Consider that I labored not for myself only, but for all them that seek learning.
So when you read, you ain't reading for yourself. You're reading for a nation that's broken. So when you say I ain't going to read, you hate your people. When you say I ain't going to study, you truly hate your people because you don't think beyond yourself. You say I ain't got time for that today. I don't have time to push myself and become better and fix the issues I got. I don't got time to apply Matthew 18. Give me Luke chapter 17. I don't have time to apply Matthew 18 with this brother. Who give a damn if they angry with me or I got an issue with them? I'm going to just hold on to it and create a grudge. You damaging the same nation you claim you love. This is things we got to examine about ourselves. If we're going to become those great people that the Bible says we are, then we have to apply what the Bible says. When you love your people, these are big issues for you. These are things you start to examine in yourself and you say, I got to get perfect. I can't have no issues going on with me because the things that I view as small, they're the things that have broken us up. They're the exact same reasons why we in the position we in. Because people didn't know how to rectify issues. Because people didn't know how to love their neighbor as they love themselves. That's why we in the position we in. That's why the young boy wants ops. Give me that.
Verse 3.
Luke chapter 17, get started verse 1.
Luke chapter 17 and verse 1. Then said he unto the disciples, It is impossible, but that offenses will come. But woe unto him through whom they come.
Read.
It were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck, and he cast into the sea, than that he should offend one of these little ones.
Read.
Take heed to yourselves. If thy brother trespass against thee, rebuke him. And if he repents, forgive him.
We ain't learned forgiveness. What do that look like? Your parents argued every single damn day. We as a people, if we love each other, we're going to apply this. We're going to be the example to the world of what forgiveness looks like, of what compassion looks like. Read.
Take heed to yourselves. If thy brother trespass against thee, rebuke him. And if he repent, forgive him. And if he trespass against thee 7 times in a day, and 7 times in a day turn again to thee, saying, I repent, thou shalt forgive him. And the apostle said unto the Lord, increase our faith.
We need to increase our faith to the point where we look at these things within us and we say, this got to be fixed. We got to love our neighbor as we love ourselves. No matter what, if he got transgressions, we got to have compassion upon him. Why? He grew up broken. That sister ain't grow up right. That brother ain't grow up right. You think they grew up right in Babylon? Hell no. I don't care where they at in the world. They didn't grow up with the right mindset because they wasn't applying the laws of God. So you're going to have to forgive them. You're going to have mercy upon them and compassion in order for us to become the great nation that the Bible speaks about. Give me Philippians chapter 2. Start at verse 4 for time's sake. These are things we got to examine. When we love our people, we'll put this in our mind on a daily basis. We'll read because we understand everything we do is for the greater good. Start at verse 2, man.
Philippians chapter 2 and verse 2. Fulfill ye my joy, that ye be like-minded, having the same love, being of one accord, of one mind. Let nothing be done through strife or vainglory, but in lowliness of mind, let each esteem other better than themselves.
Imagine a nation of people who looks at the man to their left and to their right as better than themselves. Not you just looking in the damn mirror talking about mirror, mirror on the wall, but you look to your left and you say, that brother's great. You look to your right, you say, that sister's great. And that's where your mind is at constantly. You ain't just concerned about you. Wouldn't that mean everybody gonna be taken care of? See, we live so long in a society where nobody gave a damn about each other that we don't even think about nobody else. If you a repentant Israelite, if you one of these men from this book, you're gonna love your neighbor as you love yourself. You're gonna put them above you even. Read verse 4.
Verse 4. Look not every man on his own things, but every man also on the things of others.
Read.
Let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus.
The mind of Christ Jesus was to not only think of himself, but to think about how his actions impact everybody around him. That's what we got to think about. We got to esteem somebody else better than us. We got to see the brother that come in new and say, that brother going to be a greater teacher than I ever was. That brother is going to move more people and influence them in a way that I could never do. We don't got that mind. Because in reality, what we've been taught is hatred. And when we start examining that about ourselves, then we can start to fix it. Then we can say, how do I start to apply love? How do I start to apply building up my nation? That's what Marcus Garvey was examining. That's what Malcolm X was examining. They was looking at how we've been destroyed and saying, I got to fix this. I got to bring my race together. But now we got the laws of God and we got the mind of Christ. So it should be easier for us to go into this and apply it and say, we're going to become better than we ever were. We're going to restore the decayed state of our people. Give me John chapter 15 and verse 18. I'm going to have to leave some of this out for time, but go ahead.
John chapter 15 and verse 18. If the world hate you, ye know that it hated me before it hated you. If you were of the Lord, or if you were of the world would love his own. But because ye are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hateth you.
This is what's going to happen. The world is going to hate our people as they come back together and repent. But the people that should love them is the brothers and sisters in the congregation sitting right next to them. The ones that claim they're Israelites. The ones that claim, I came here to repent and love God. Your love should be so strong for the brothers and sisters around you that they don't need a damn world. They should be comfortable coming out of it because the level of love you got for them is like yourself. You esteem them better than yourself. So they cleave unto you. They gravitate towards you because you know what they say? Man, this brother loved me more than anybody ever has in my entire life. They look out for me better than anybody has in my entire life. That's your responsibility as somebody who understands the truth. That was the mind that Christ had. Give me John chapter 17 real quick. Read verse 11.
John chapter 17 and verse 11. And now I am no more in the world, but these are in the world, and I come to thee, Holy Father. Keep through thy own name those whom thou hast given me, that they may be one as we are.
Keep them in the right mindset, Father. Protect them. Keep them in the spirit. Go ahead.
While I was with them in the world, I kept them in thy name. Those thou gavest me I have kept, and none of them is lost, but the son of perdition, that the scripture might be fulfilled.
The only ones that's going to leave is the devil, but the rest, keep them together. For time's sake, jump to verse 21.
Verse 21.
Start at verse 20.
Verse 20. Neither pray I for these alone, but for them also which shall believe on me through their word.
Now, I'm not only praying, because this is his prayer. Y'all can read it later. This is Christ's prayer before he left. He said, Father, keep those, my 12 and my disciples in the spirit. Keep them together that they may be one. And then he said, not only keep them, but also keep the people that will hear and believe on the word that I speak unto them. Go ahead.
That they all may be one, as thou, Father, art in me, and I in thee, that they also may be one in us, that the world may believe that thou hast sent me.
So the goal was what? These men were going to teach, and they were going to teach and leave an example on others, and the goal was for all of us to be one. That's the same thing that's going on now. I'm going to send back leaders. They're going to teach the people, and the goal is for us to all be one, to move as a unit. But we can't do that. Give me Amos chapter 3 and verse 1. We can't do that if we dealing with self-hate. Read verse 3. Let's just do Amos 3:3. Read that. We can't do that if we dealing with self-hate. If we ain't learn how to love ourselves, if we ain't fixing our own issues and our own problems, how are we going to be one? You can't love your neighbor as you love yourself, and you truly ain't examining your own problems and your issues and fixing them. Because you disconnected from God, first and foremost. Read that.
Amos chapter 3 and verse 3. Can two walk together except they be agreed?
We can only walk with God if we agree with God. Our actions got to line up to these scriptures. So when we start to love our people, we say, hold on. First and foremost, I got to be right with God. Leviticus chapter 19 and verse 17. Read that.
Leviticus chapter 19 and verse 17. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor, and not suffer sin upon him. Thou shalt not avenge, nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
Then we start to have this mind. When we connect back to God, we say, if I love my people, I got to get right with God. And then I got to love my neighbor as I love myself. This whole thing is built on having charity, on caring for each other, on looking at ourselves and then lining ourselves up to what God says and then applying that to the brothers around us. We can't build a nation if we hate ourselves, if we're not dealing with our own issues. Give me Sirach 1 and verse 26. We're not going to build no nation. What we're going to create is destructive behaviors again. The difference between what it is we learn here and what the world is learning is that we're going to learn to love ourselves and we're going to teach others to love themselves. And when they hate themselves, we're going to love them. We're going to show them this is what loving yourself look like. You better than me, brother. You can be greater than me. Read that.
Sirach chapter 1 and verse 26. If thou desire wisdom, keep the commandments, and the Lord shall give her unto thee. For the fear of the Lord is wisdom and instruction, and faith and meekness are his delight.
Go ahead.
Distrust not the fear of the Lord when thou art poor, and come not unto him with a double heart.
Don't come to the Lord false with a double heart. Go ahead.
Be not an hypocrite in the sight of men, and take good heed what thou speakest.
So we don't want to come to the Lord being hypocrites. We want to be honest about what it is we dealing with and fix it, because that's how you connect back to God. It just told you don't come to the Lord with a double heart. If you do, read verse 30.
Verse 30. Exalt not thyself, lest thou fall, and bring dishonor upon thy soul. And so God discover thy secrets and cast thee down in the midst of the congregation, because thou camest not in the truth to the fear of the Lord, but thy heart is full of deceit.
So if you can't examine these things about yourself and fix them, it's showing you hate your people, man. If you can't really look within yourself and say, I got to be an example to them, and then the Lord got to show that. The Lord got to expose you, because what he needs is he needs a nation that's perfect. He needs a nation that's carrying themselves to the standard that he's put in this book. It ain't going to just be that you get to walk through this thing and you get to have issues and problems and you never address them. He'll have mercy, but what he wants is for us to move and follow him with a focused mind, moving in the spirit of loving ourselves first and foremost, and then loving our neighbors as we love ourselves, esteeming others higher than us, not looking on our own things, but looking upon the things of others greater than our own stuff. That's our mind. The book of Zephaniah chapter 2, verse 1.
The book of Zephaniah chapter 2 and verse 1. Gather yourselves together.
The Lord wasn't asking it. It's a commandment. He said, gather yourselves together. Read it again.
Gather yourselves together. Yea, gather together, O nation not desired.
The Lord said in the last days, he commands us to gather together. He said we're a nation not desired. Read that top part one more time.
Gather yourselves together.
Wait a second. You sitting on the couch. You're sitting at home. The end time's passing you by, and you ain't been to the school yet.
Come on now, dog.
You ain't hear Boozy? What Boozy just said?
Come on, man.
Come on, man. It's time for you to get down here, man. It's a shame, bro.
What the hell?
Come on, man.
Oh, my God. No way.
Look, come down to the school, 7254 University Avenue, La Mesa, California. Come keep God's commandments. What you waiting on? And if you're looking for a school in your area, visit israelunite.org/contact us and find the school closest to you. Shalom.
Philippians chapter 1 and verse 9. And this I pray, that your love may abound yet more and more in knowledge and in all judgment, that ye may approve things that are excellent, that ye may be sincere.
You may be what?
That ye may be sincere and without offense to the day of Christ.
That's where we would need to be. Sincere. Honest, not double heart. You got to examine that about yourself. Are you sincere? When you don't study every day, you sincere? When you don't really watch classes, are you sincere? These are things you got to examine. When you got issues that you're not fixing year after year after year after year, are you sincere in this thing? Or are you coming to the Lord with a double heart? You know what you're supposed to do, but you don't do it. We got to examine that about ourselves because the goal is to be without offense. 2 Ezra chapter 14 and verse 13. And then when we examine that about ourselves, then we can start to fix the nation. When we can be without offense to Christ, we can show that to other people. We can go to a brother or to a sister and say, this is how you get your mind right. I dealt with that, and this is how I fixed it. I see that in you. This is how you move yourself forward. Read that.
2 Ezra chapter 14 and verse 13. Now therefore, set thine house in order.
Read.
And reprove thy people.
You can't reprove your people, fix your people, love your nation unless you love yourself first. Read.
Comfort such of them as be in trouble, and now renounce corruption.
Read.
Let go from the mortal thoughts. Cast away the burdens of man. Put off now the weak nature.
You have to put off your weak nature. Your weak nature was to have self-hatred. Your weak nature was to not fix your issues, to come to the Lord in a double heart, to be of the world. When you put that off, you can fix your nation. When you love your people, that's what you're going to do. There's no other option. Because that love and the oppression that you're seeing on a daily basis is going to make you say, I got to put this down. I got to stop playing with this. That's why the Lord died for us, because he loved us. He said it don't matter what. These people need this. I'm looking at them. Look how destroyed they are. Look at their mindset. I got to go through with this. If not, they'll never be healed. So you're going to do the exact same thing. That's what the Bible's saying when it said no greater love have a man except for he laid down his own life. Keep reading.
And set aside the thoughts that are most heavy unto thee, and haste thee to flee from these times.
Give me Romans chapter 12 and verse 10. Don't start crying over there, Rita. Give me Romans 12. Oh, man. Romans 12 and verse 10.
Romans chapter 12 and verse 10. Be kindly affection one to another with brotherly love, and honor preferring one another.
We got to have brotherly love. We have to prefer one another. Christ preferred us. That's why he died for us. So if we're going to walk in his footsteps and follow his example, we got to have that same mindset. We got to prefer one another, not this world, not our finances, not what we think is going to be for comfort for us. We have to prefer one another. Go ahead.
Not slothful in business, fervent in spirit, serving the Lord.
You understand, when you serve the Lord, you serving your nation. It was never about you. It was always about your people. You were to serve the Lord because you loved your people. Moses served the Lord because he loved his nation. That's why he brought them out of Egypt. He fasted for them. He prayed for them. He answered their questions. He was serving the Lord, but he loved his people. And all the prophets loved their people. When you love your people, you'll deal with whatever the BS comes with it. Whatever BS comes with it, you'll deal with it. And you'll be fervent in that thing. Because ultimately you understand, I'm helping to move my people closer to the salvation that the Lord has promised for them. That's what this is about. This ain't about one person. This is about us getting to a place where we can grow, we can come back to what we were. Read verse 16.
Verse 16. Be of the same mind one toward another. Mind not high things, but condescend to men of low estate. Be not wise in your own conceit.
What we got to be able to do is drop ourselves down to men that are in low estate. Think like them. Put ourselves on a level. On the level of the people in the hoods and the ghetto who want ops, who dealing with hatred. That's why you see the brothers out on the corner week after week after week, trying to build the people's mind back up to the state that they in. That's what these classes are about. That's what we get every time that leadership teaches. The goal is to build us out of the gutter. And we're going to come out the gutter. Whether Esau believe it or not, we're going to learn this Bible and we're going to become great. But it starts with us loving each other as we love ourselves. That's how we get to that point. Give me 1 Corinthians chapter 13. Start at 1. We're going to read 1 to 4 real quick.
1 Corinthians chapter 13 and verse 1. Though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels and have not charity, I am become a sounding brass.
Charity goes into brotherly love. If we don't have brotherly love, we like sounding brass. Go ahead.
Or a tinkling cymbal. And though I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all faith so that I can remove mountains and have not charity, I am nothing.
Read.
And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, and though I give my body to be burned and have not charity, it profiteth me nothing.
Because some brothers will go to camp and be a camp warrior and even get put to death just so they can have a reputation. A brother will get shot just to have a reputation, like Bishop was going over on Sabbath. Just for a reputation, not for the love of their people. Go ahead.
Charity suffereth long and is kind. Charity envieth not. Charity vaunteth not itself, is not puffed up.
So we got to examine that. And you can read this whole chapter, but when we think about it, are we moving in the spirit of envy? Are we pompous or puffed up? Will we believe we above the people? We above our brothers and our sisters? Do we condescend to men of low estate? These are things we got to examine. If we love our nation and we want to move the nation forward, we ain't going to roll in that spirit. We're going to be long-suffering. We're going to deal with new people. We're going to deal with each other because we understand the only way to get to the kingdom that we want is to work together. Give me 1 John chapter 4 and start at verse 17.
1 John 4 and verse 17. Herein is our love, made perfect, that we may have boldness in the day of judgment, because as he is, so are we in this world.
The same way that Christ was, we need to be that way in this world. Go ahead.
There is no fear in love, but perfect love casteth out fear.
You got no fear of what they can do to your body. You got no fear of carnal things. You got to fear the Lord, but you ain't worried about what's going to happen to your body, or if you apply the laws of God, what's going to happen to you, because you love your people. That's what these men had. They just lacked the laws of God. Malcolm X had that. Marcus Garvey had that, but they lacked the laws of God. Now you got the laws of God. You got to move fearless. Go ahead.
Because fear hath torment. He that feareth is not made perfect in love.
Read.
We love him because he first loved us.
We love Christ because he died for us. He showed you that. He had no fear of going through what he had to go through because he loved us as a people. Read.
If a man say, I love God, and hateth his brother, he is a liar.
So if you say you love God and you don't work to get yourself right to be an example to your brothers and your sisters, if you don't call and check in, if you don't show that you love your neighbor as you love yourself, you lying. When we love our nation, we start to examine this about ourselves. We'll start to examine every aspect of our life and say, do I love my neighbor as I love myself? Am I willing to go to the extra mile like Christ did? Am I willing to cut off the sins that I'm dealing with, the lust that I'm dealing with, so that I can make sure that I'm an example to my nation? I'll do that if I love my neighbor, that if I love my brother. And if I'm not willing to do that, then I'm lying. Read that again.
If a man say, I love God, and hateth his brother, he is a liar. For he that loveth not his brother whom he hath seen, how can he love God whom he hath not seen? And this commandment have we from him, that we who loveth God loveth his brother also.
If you love God, you love your brother. That's how you show it. When you love your nation, the people around you going to know you got love for them. They're not going to question that. If they question that, then you got an issue. You got something you got to examine. If everyone around you thinks you hate them, and you have no good relationships around you, and you think God is going to come back and say, this person right here is in the spirit. Everybody around them had the devil on them. It's something you got to examine, especially if you're in the truth. Read chapter 5, verse 1.
1 John chapter 5 and verse 1. Whosoever believeth that Jesus is the Christ is born of God. And every one that loveth him that beget loveth him also that is begotten of him.
Everyone that loves Christ is going to love all of the people that Christ chose on this earth. He's going to show them their love, his love through the actions that he takes on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. It's going to be shown. There's not going to be a question about it. Go ahead.
For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are
Sorry,
not.
read verse 2. I think you skipped it.
Oh, verse 2. By this we know that we love the children of God, when we love God and keep his commandments.
Read.
For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous.
So when we apply the laws of God, that's how we know that we love God, but also we will be applying it to our brother. So when you love your nation, you're going to be right with God. That's why he said these two things go together. But oftentimes, we're not examining ourselves on this level and saying, do I show my love to my brother in my actions on a daily basis? Do I see the fact that I have to impact the people around me? Am I examining that weekly, daily, to look at the influence I have on the people? Give me Matthew chapter 25, verse 34. We're going to read this, and we're going to get ready to wrap it up. So these are things we got to examine. And in the end, the Lord's going to reward us according to how we moved. Read that.
Matthew chapter 25 and verse 34. Then shall the king say unto him, to them on his right hand, Come, ye blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world.
Read.
For I was an hunger, and ye gave me meat. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and ye took me in. Naked, and ye clothed me. I was sick, and ye visited me. I was in prison, and ye came unto me. Then shall the righteous answer.
Then shall the who answer?
Then shall the righteous
then
answer.
You righteous brothers and sisters going to answer. Go ahead.
Him saying, Lord, when saw we thee an hungered, and fed thee, or thirsty, and gave thee drink? When saw thee a stranger, and took thee in, or naked, and clothed thee? Or when saw we thee sick, or in prison, and came unto thee? And the king shall answer, and say unto them, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as ye have done it unto one of the least of these my brethren, ye have done it unto me.
So whenever you have done that brotherly love or that act, you fed your brother, you clothed your brother, you took care of your brother, you took care of them when they were sick, you did it to Christ. See, that's why he said, if you love your brother, you love me. You're going to get the kingdom behind that. But we don't examine that. When you love your nation, you love God. When you love your nation and you deal right by your brother and your sister that you dealing with on a Sabbath-to-Sabbath basis, then you showing God you love them. But if you can't deal right with those around you, those in your household, if you can't love yourself, then you don't love God. And when we love our people, it's going to show. So if we don't change our behavior, this is where we'll end up. Read.
Verse 41. Then shall he say also unto them on the left hand.
Read it faster, come on.
Depart from me, ye cursed, into everlasting fire, prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was an hungered, and ye gave me no meat. I was thirsty, and ye gave me no drink. I was a stranger, and ye took me not in. Naked, and ye clothed me not. Sick, and in prison, and ye visited me not. Then shall they also answer him, saying, Lord, when saw we thee an hungered, or athirst, or a stranger, or naked, or sick, or in prison, and did not minister unto thee? Then shall he answer them, saying, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as ye did it not to one of the least of these, ye did it not to me.
So in the end, the wicked will say, I never loved my people. I never took care of that brother that was sick. I never loved myself enough. And then I transitioned that hatred I have for myself to my people. And for that, destruction is coming. We got to be able to examine that. When we love our people, it's going to translate to how we love God. And in the end, give me Revelation chapter 21 and verse 3. In the end, we're going to live in a place where you ain't never got to worry about, do the people around me love me and care for me? That's what we working towards. You ain't never going to have to worry about, is Ray going to set me up? Is my boss plotting on me? Is there a trap set around this corner? Damn, the police is behind me. You ain't going to have to worry about these things, because where you're going to dwell, all the people there are going to love their neighbor as they love themselves. That's what he just told you. He said the ones that love their brother, they're going to go to the right. So you ain't never going to have to worry about, am I getting plotted on? You're going to go through it now, but in the end, this is where you're going to end up. Revelation 21, 3 and 4.
Revelation chapter 21 and verse 3. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and God himself shall be with them and be their God.
Read.
And God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death.
There ain't going to be hatred no more. You ain't going to have no ops. You ain't going to have no baby mama drama, no abortions. You're going to have a nation of people that love each other. Read.
Neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away.
So all the BS that we saw in the beginning of this, it's going to die. But it's going to start with loving your people. When you love your people, this is the end result. This is where we headed. But it starts with a day-to-day mindset of saying, what am I doing to love myself so that I can then apply that to my people? What am I doing to make sure I fix the issues I see around me? That's what we got to continue to examine about ourselves. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up. Remember, follow IUIC San Diego on YouTube if you don't. Shalom. Most High in Christ bless.
What is the nation? Nation is men leading by example. Nation is family. Nation is community. Nation is children with role models. Nation is unity. Nation is you.
And